What if right now, in this very moment, you're standing at the edge of a completely different life, and you don't even realize it? What if everything you've been waiting for, confidence, success, clarity, power, isn't something you need to gain, but something you need to remember? Because think about it. There was a time when you didn't hesitate. There was a time when you didn't overthink every move, when you didn't ask for permission, when you didn't need validation to take action. You just moved. You just tried. You just believed, without needing proof. So what changed? At what point did you go from that fearless version of yourself to someone who second-guesses everything? Who taught you to doubt your own ability? Who convinced you to play small? Who made you believe that you have to wait before you act? Because I'll tell you something most people will never say out loud. That version of you, the confident one, the bold one, the unstoppable one, never disappeared. He didn't leave. He didn't die. He's still there, buried under layers of noise, repetition, and fear. That was never yours to begin with. And today, right now, we're not here to motivate you. Motivation fades. We're here to wake something up inside you that has been silent for far too long. We're here to flip a switch. Because once that switch flips, you don't go back to who you were. You don't think the same. You don't move the same. You don't tolerate the same excuses. You become someone who decides and then moves. So if you're listening right now, don't just hear these words, feel them. Because this isn't just a speech. This is a reset. This is a return. This is the moment where you stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what happens if I finally stop holding back? Stay with me, fully, no distractions. Because by the end of this, you won't recognize the version of yourself that used to hesitate. What if I told you that the doubt living in your mind isn't yours? That it wasn't born with you? That it was installed not by truth, not by evidence, but by repetition? By years of hearing what couldn't be done, of seeing others settle, of watching powerful men shrink to fit into small cages built by fear? What if I told you that every hesitation you've carried, every quiet voice that told you to wait, to hold back, to question your own strength was never yours to begin with? It was borrowed, programmed, repeated, but not born. Because you, my friend, you were not made to question yourself. You were made to build. You were made to rise. You were made to win. Not eventually, not someday. Not when everything lines up perfectly, but now. And if you stay with me, not halfway, not half listening, but fully, if you breathe these words, speak them aloud and return to them daily, then something will begin to shift. Not in theory, not in imagination, but in identity. Because what I'm about to give you is not a motivational talk. It is a reprogramming, a full recalibration of the system that has quietly allowed doubt to lead your steps for far too long. And when it's over, when the last word has been spoken, you will no longer recognize the version of yourself that accepted smallness as fate. Because doubt, as I will show you, is a habit, and habits can be broken. But belief is a decision. Belief is the act of remembering who you were before the world taught you to shrink. And today we return to that man, the one who knew he was meant for more. The one who didn't wait for proof to take the first step. The one who acted as if victory was inevitable. And let me tell you something most men never hear. That man is still inside you, waiting, watching, wondering when you'll stop listening to the old voice and start moving like a builder again. So say it with me now. I was not made to doubt. I was made to win. Say it louder. I was not made to question. I was made to decide. Say it until your voice shakes off the dust of hesitation. I do not wait for courage. I move anyway. Because today we are not here to play with belief. We are here to make it law. And once you've made a law of the mind, the body, the voice, the results follow. So stay with me from this first word to the last breath. And let's begin the process of burning doubt out of your identity for good. Let me be very clear. You are not born with doubt. No man is. Doubt is not a natural instinct. It is not hardwired into your soul. It is a condition, a disease of the environment, a mental parasite that grows only when fed. And the world, my friend, is full of feeders. You were born with curiosity, with hunger, with fire. No child comes into this world second-guessing himself. Look at any young boy. He does not wonder if he can walk. He tries. He does not ask if he has permission to explore. He moves. He falls and rises, screams and reaches. Not because he's certain, but because he hasn't learned to fear yet. Doubt is not natural. It is taught. It is modeled. It is repeated. And by the time you are grown, you've been told, directly or indirectly, that your power is dangerous, that your fire must be tamed, that dreaming is for others, not for you. But here is the good news. If doubt was learned, belief can be built. And that building begins with remembering the truth of who you are before the world shaped you. It begins with one small act of rebellion. rejecting the idea that you must be hesitant just because others around you were. Now listen carefully, because this is where most people break, not at the beginning, not when things are easy, but right in the middle, when progress is slow, when results are invisible, when effort feels like it's disappearing into nothing. That's where doubt tries to come back. Not loudly, but quietly. It whispers things like, maybe this isn't working. Maybe you should slow down. Maybe you were wrong about yourself. And if you're not aware, you'll start listening again. But not this time, because now you understand something most never will. Doubt doesn't come back because it's true. It comes back because it's familiar. It's a habit trying to survive, and habits fight hardest right before they die. So when that voice shows up again, and it will, you don't negotiate with it. You don't sit down and analyze it. You don't give it space. You overpower it with action. Immediate, decisive, undeniable action. Because action is the enemy of doubt. Not thinking, not planning, not waiting, moving. Even if it's small, even if it's imperfect, even if it feels uncomfortable, you move. And every time you do, you send a message to your mind. I don't live there anymore. You are no longer the man who hesitates. You are no longer the man who overthinks. You are no longer the man who waits for the perfect moment. That version of you is finished. This one is the version that executes. This is the version that decides once and backs it up with action every single day. Because understand this, you don't become powerful by thinking about power. You become powerful by keeping your word to yourself, over and over and over again. When you say you'll wake up early, and you do. When you say you'll work, and you follow through. When you say you won't quit, and you don't. That's how identity is built, not in big moments, in daily proof. And eventually, something shifts. You stop forcing discipline, because discipline becomes who you are. You stop chasing confidence, because confidence follows your actions. You stop fighting doubt, because doubt no longer recognizes you. That's when you become dangerous, not to others, but to your old limits. Because now, you move with certainty. You speak with clarity. You act with purpose. And the world, whether it admits it or not, starts to respond differently to you. Opportunities show up. People notice. Momentum builds. Not because you got lucky, but because you finally became aligned with the man you said you would be. So this is where it ends. Not with hype, not with noise, but with the decision, right now. Who are you? Not who you were, not who you might become someday. Who are you today? Because whatever answer you give, your actions will follow. So make it strong. Make it final. Say it like you mean it. I am a man who acts. I am a man who decides. I am a man who finishes what he starts. No hesitation, no retreat, no doubt. And then, prove it. Not tomorrow, not later. Now. And now, it's quiet. No more words, no more explanations, no more thinking. Because everything that needed to be said has been said. Now it comes down to one thing. Will you go back, or will you go forward? Because make no mistake, there is no standing still after this. You either return to the old voice, the old habits, the old version of yourself, or you step into something new, something stronger, something sharper, something undeniable. This is the line, right here, the version of you that doubted, that hesitated, that waited for permission. Ends now, not slowly, not someday, now. And the man who rises from this moment, he doesn't need motivation. He doesn't need approval. He doesn't need perfect conditions. He moves because he decided. He acts because he said he would. He finishes because that's who he is. So don't clap for this. Don't replay it for comfort. Use it. Take one step. Make one decision. Do one thing you've been avoiding. And let that action be the proof that this moment was real. Because years from now, you won't remember the words. You'll remember the decision you made right here, the moment you stopped listening to doubt and started listening to yourself. So go. No hesitation. No retreat. No second guessing. Just movement. Just fire. Just you. Finally becoming who you were meant to be. And understand this. The next few minutes matter more than the last few years. Because this is where patterns break. Not in comfort. Not in planning. But in movement. Right now, your mind is going to try one last time. It will tell you, start later. Do it tomorrow. Wait until you're ready. But that voice has never built anything. It has only delayed, only distracted, only kept you exactly where you are. So this time, you don't negotiate with it. You don't argue. You don't explain. You move anyway. Because discipline isn't loud. It doesn't feel like motivation. It doesn't come with energy or excitement. It feels like resistance. It feels like friction. It feels like doing it when you don't want to. That's the signal. That's how you know it matters. So when it feels heavy, good. When it feels uncomfortable, good. When every part of you wants to stop, perfect. Because that's the moment most people fold. And that's the moment you don't. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need the full path. You need one action, one move forward, one decision that proves you're not the same person anymore. And once you take that step, something shifts. Not outside, inside. You stop asking, can I do this? And you start realizing, I already am. That's how it begins, quietly, without announcement, without validation. Just you, doing what you said you would do. So don't wait for another sign. This is it. You've heard enough. You've thought enough. Now you build. Now you execute. Now you become. And here's the truth most people will never accept. It's not that they can't change. It's that they won't decide. They wait for clarity. They wait for confidence. They wait for the right moment. But the right moment is always built, never found. You don't become disciplined by thinking about discipline. You become it by doing what undisciplined people refuse to do. Again and again and again. Until it's no longer a choice. It's just you. Because identity isn't something you discover. It's something you prove. Every action you take casts a vote for the man you're becoming or the one you're trying to leave behind. So ask yourself honestly, what are you voting for right now? Not with your words, not with your intentions, with your actions. Because the world doesn't respond to what you plan. It responds to what you execute. And execution doesn't care how you feel. There will be days you doubt again. Days where the old voice gets louder. Days where it feels like you're slipping. That's part of it. That's the test. But this time, you recognize it. This time, you don't identify with it. You see it for what it is. A pattern, an old program, something that only survives if you obey it. And you don't obey it anymore. You override it. With action. With discipline. With decisions that don't need permission. Because the version of you that's building now, he doesn't stop when it's hard. He expects it. He doesn't slow down when it's uncomfortable. He leans in. That's the shift, not motivation. Standards. And once your standards rise, your old life becomes unacceptable. Not because someone told you, but because you've outgrown it. So from this moment forward, there's a new rule. No more starting over, only continuing. You don't restart tomorrow. You continue today. You don't wait to feel different. You act different and let the feeling catch up. This is how momentum is built, not in big moments, but in small, undeniable actions, stacked daily. So take another step, then another, then another. No noise, no announcement, just progress. Because one day, this won't feel hard anymore. This won't feel forced. This will be your baseline, your normal, your standard. And when that day comes, you won't even recognize the person you used to be. Not because you forgot him, but because you outworked him. Now go. Not inspired, committed, not emotional, disciplined, not waiting, moving.